Today's session is on angles in a parallel line. And under angles in a parallel line, we have corresponding angles, alternate angles, co-interior angle, vertically opposite angle, angle on a straight line, angles at a point. So I will use a parallel line to explain these angles. And one may ask, what are parallel lines? A line is said to be parallel. Two lines are said to be parallel. Once, if they are extended, it won't what? Meet. These two parallel lines, once you extend it up to infinity, it won't what? Meet. So far as they are extended. So this is a parallel line. So I will use my diagram to demonstrate these angles. Let me draw my figure here. I have A, B, C, D, G, F, and these are my angles E, F, G, H. So you see this diagram. This line passing through this parallel line, we call it transversal. Line GS is called transversal. And AB is parallel to CD. AB is parallel to what? CD. Take note. AB is parallel to CD. We now want to know the types of angles within this parallel line. You see this B. We are seeing this B on top here, this line. It cuts it into two equal parts. We have the right hand side and the left hand side. So let me take the right hand side. After that, I will take the angles at the left hand side. This B, you see, is on top. And this F2 is what? On top. This means B corresponds to F. And always take note that corresponding angles are equal. This B is on top, this 2 is on top. So B corresponds to F. That's what it means. B corresponds to F. B corresponds to F. It means corresponding angles are equal. Take note. Let's take the D. D2 corresponds to H. D corresponds to H. It means D is equal to H, and here too B is equal to F. Corresponding angles are equal. And we are seeing two angles within this parallel line. And these two angles, we call it co-interior angles. D and F are co-interior angles. And always take note that co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. This means D plus F will give us 180 degrees. D plus F, we are getting 180 degrees. And here too, we are getting straight angle, the angle on the straight line. Angle on the straight line add up to 180. So D plus B here too is 180 degrees. Angle on the straight line. This is co-interior angle. Co-interior angle. So here too is angle on the straight line. It adds up to 180 degrees. Let's take the left hand side. And the left hand side, once we know the right hand side, this side becomes simple. C2 corresponds to J. C corresponds to J. This means C is equal to J. A is also equal to E. A corresponds to E. A corresponds to E. So A is equal to E. We are also having co-interior angles. A and J are co-interior angles. And co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. A plus J is equal to 180 degrees. Co-interior angles. And we also have angle on the straight line here. It will add up to 180 B plus J will give us 180 because it's a straight angle, and A plus C2 will give us 180 degrees. Let's take vertically opposite angle. This, you see, I've already taught you vertically opposite angle, and vertically opposite angle, the angles are equal. We say A is vertically opposite to B. You see, A is facing B. So we say A is opposite to B, is vertically opposite to B. A is equal to B, vertically opposite angle. And C is also equal to D. So always vertically opposite angles are equal. Take note. Vertically opposite angle. If you take this portion to E is vertically opposite to F, and J2 is vertically opposite to H. So G is equal to F, vertically opposite. And J is equal to H, vertically opposite. We also have angles at a point. This is a point. This too is a point. This means the sum of these angles is equal to 360 degrees. So J plus F plus E plus H is equal to 360 degrees. Angles at a point. Here too, it becomes A plus B plus C plus D equal to 360 degrees. Once we know this, we are safe for us to solve questions under this. So always note that corresponding angles are equal. Vertically opposite angles are also equal. Now, let's take the last type of angle, which is alternate angle. And when I say alternate angle, I will talk about zigzag, Z. And another Z2 will be this way. Always alternate angles too are equal. If here is C, here too is C. So let's construct our Z from this diagram. You see our Z. We want to know Z. This means this angle is equal to this angle. We say A alternates to F. A alternates to F. And if you construct it at back, D2 alternates to J. D alternates to J. I want you to understand the concept. That's why I'm deeping it. I want you to understand to use these two questions to illustrate angles in a parallel line. And this line is parallel to line GH. So I've given you certain angles in this diagram. And I gave you only one angle, that's 70 degrees. What this means is that we are now going to use the type of angles in a parallel line to solve this question. So we have 70 degrees here. You take it step by step. I want us to start from this portion before we move on to this portion. I want to make it simple. So what is A? We learned that vertically opposite angles are equal. So A is equal to what? 70 degrees, vertically opposite angle. Because in an exam, they can ask you to describe the type of angle. Even if they don't tell you to show the type of angle, you should write it in the brackets. It's very important. Now what is B? This is a straight line, and angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So it becomes 70 plus B equal to 180 degrees. B is equal to 180 minus 70. Our B is equal to 110 degrees. Once we know B, what is C? C is vertically opposite to B. C is equal to B. So this means our C is equal to what? 110 degrees. Vertically opposite. Vertically opposite angle. And I use angle on the straight line here. I want it to be simple. So you see B, we are getting 110 and C to 110. But we can use any angle, you get the same answer. 110 plus 70 is what? 180. We can use angle on the straight line here to solve for what? A. Because once we have 110 here, to get A, we have 110 plus A equal to 180. So you get A to be 70. Angles at a point 2 is here. Once you know B and A, you can use angles at a point to solve it. You add these three angles and you subtract this. So that you subtract it from 360 to get your what? C. However you solve it, you are going to get the same answer. Now, let us take this part. G, F, J, and D. So I'm starting from J. J corresponds to 70 because this is at the bottom and this 2 is what? At the bottom. J corresponds to what? 70. I'm taking here the left hand side. You see this line, it divides it into right hand side and what? Left hand side. And J corresponds to what? 70 degrees. So it becomes J is equal to 70 degrees corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are equal. What is E? E is equal to B. And our B, we had 110. E2 corresponds to what? B. Once you know your principle, it becomes simple. It's not difficult. E is equal to B, corresponding angles. And we all know corresponding angles. So our G is what? 110 degrees. It's left with F and D. F2 is equal to A because F corresponds to what? A. Once you have calculated for this one, here becomes simple. You see, I'm using corresponding angles throughout because I know what I'm doing. F corresponds to A. This corresponds to A. You can't say F corresponds to B. No. You take the right hand side and you take the left hand side. So this line divides it into 2 equal parts. So this F will correspond to A. And we have A to be what? 70. So B. So F. A is equal to F, corresponding angle. Our F is what? F becomes 70. F is 70. Let's do our D. We know our C to be what? 110. C is what? 110. And C2 corresponds to what? D. So C is equal to D, corresponding angles. So we know D to be what? 110 degrees. So you see D is 110. You can use angles on the straight line to get F because D plus F is what? 180. And 110 plus 70 will give us 180. Let's check F if it's 70. You see 70 is here. So however you are doing it, you get the same answer. Let's take our zigzag, alternate angle. This angle is equal to this angle. If here is 70, here is 70. Alternate angle 2 applies. F is 70, it's applying here. So either you choose any angle, you get the same answer. So far as you know what you are doing. So I'm done with question 1. Let's move on to the second question. Question 2. Now, you see we have 2 transversals. But this question, we were having only a line cutting the parallel line. We have one transversal here and another transversal through here. So you take it step by step. Now, let me take the transversal at the right hand side. After that, I will take the transversal at the left hand side. I have given you here 110. What is H? H is vertically opposite to 110. So H is 110, vertically opposite angle. W. Let me use angle on a straight line here. Angle on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. angle on a straight line. So W is equal to 180 minus 110. W to be 70 degrees. Once we know here to be 70 degrees, W2 is vertically opposite to J because they are opposite, they are facing each other. W equal to J. So J is equal to 70 degrees, vertically opposite angle. So always don't forget to bring your degree sign because you are doing angles. Angles, we don't omit our degree sign. So I'm done with J, H, and W. Let's move on to M. But you see this side, I didn't bring any letter or any angle. But it's not a wrong question. You will choose your variables here. If I bring it here, it will become simple. So we will choose variable here. So you choose 3 variables for this part. So let's use maybe A, B, and C. So I'll write my A here, B, and C, so that it becomes complete. I'm just confusing you, but it's not difficult. So what is M? M corresponds to H. M corresponds to H. M is equal to what? H. And we know H to be 110. Corresponding angles. So M is equal to 110 degrees. 110 degrees. Let's move on to B. B2 corresponds to J. Because this is at the bottom, this 2 is at the bottom. And we know J to be 70. So B is equal to J. Corresponding angle. So B is equal to 70 degrees. So we know our B, we know our M. What is C and A? A is equal to 110. This corresponds to this. This is at the bottom, this 3 is at the bottom. Once you see the left hand side. So A is equal to what? 110 degrees is corresponding angles. So you see, I'm using corresponding angles throughout because I know what I'm doing. I understand the concept or what? Principle. Even though you can choose either vertically opposite angle or any other type of angle. Once you know M to be 110, A is what? 110. It's vertically opposite, but I'm choosing corresponding angle because I see it as what? Simple if I choose corresponding angle. What is C? C is equal to B. And we know B to be what? 70. C is vertically opposite to B. Or C corresponds to W. What is W? 70. You see, we are getting the same answer. Any type of angle you choose, you get the same answer. So let me choose vertically opposite angle here. C is equal to B. We know our B to be what? 70 degrees. Vertically opposite angle. So our C is equal to 70 degrees. 70 degrees. This is the left hand side. That's the transversal at the left hand side. So I will start solving from this portion. Now what is M? M is 35. It's vertically opposite. Vertically opposite angle. So once we know M to be 35, P becomes simple because M plus P is equal to what? 180 degrees. Angle on a straight line. 35 plus P equal to 180 degrees. P is equal to 180 minus 35. So P is equal to 145 degrees. So angle on a straight line is 145 now. What is n? P is equal to n, vertically opposite angle, because vertically opposite angles are equal. So n2 is 145 degrees. Let's take this one, P, Q, T, S, R. Q corresponds 35. Q, because this is at the bottom, this 2 is at the bottom, so Q is equal to 35 degrees, corresponding what? Angle. Corresponding angle. Or Q is equal to R, vertically opposite. What is S? S2 corresponds to N. S is equal to N, corresponding angle. So S is 145 degrees because N is 145. So once you know what you are doing, you can choose one type of angle to be solving your question. So we know Q to be what? 35. R is simple. R is equal to Q. That's vertically opposite angle. Vertically opposite angle. So R is equal to 35 degrees. What is T? T2 is equal to S, vertically opposite. T is equal to S, vertically opposite. So T2 is equal to 145 degrees. So you should know the concept: underline, co-interior angle, corresponding angle, alternate angle, angle on a straight line, angle at a point. So you can even use angle at a point here. Angle at a point add up to 360. Once you sum these four angles, it will be equal to what? 360 degrees. So if you know this, this and this, to solve for this, you add these 3 and subtract from 360, you get your what? T. Or co-interior angle, you can apply co-interior angles here. Angles within this parallel line. The sum of this will give us what? 180 degrees. Now, what is P? We know our P to be what? 145 what? Degrees. R is what? 35 degrees. You see, we are getting co-interior angle here because the sum of co-interior angle add up to 180 degrees. I wanted it to be simple because corresponding angle, you see, I used angle on a straight line, vertically opposite and corresponding angle. I didn't want to see myself struggling. Even though I understand co-interior angle, I can apply it easily here. A plus W is equal to what? 180. They are co-interior angle. But once you understand the concept, you use simple angles and it will be straightforward. So I have given you an assignment. Please try this question for me, and I believe this topic has been made more simple. Thank you.